excitement at the announcement, anticipation for the release, joy upon purchase, and longing for delivery. These positive emotions for the 2025 GPU releases, and really all tech of late, have given way to much more negative feelings. Frustration and anger because of low availability and ludicrously high prices, which keep rising for a myriad of reasons, including a lack of supply, tariffs, and plain old greed. Fear because my new GPU or CPU may fail, catch fire, or be fake. Annoyance because so many reviews say the generation over generation performance isn't enough to justify the prices. Disappointment because of terrible driver releases, melting cables, and power connectors, black screens, and the list goes on. And finally, sadness because the excitement I normally have for tech has been beaten to a pulp and taken out to Miller's Crossing to be shot.
Look at your heart! What hurt?
This is despite all of the Computex coverage I've watched of late, which has provided a comforting reprieve from the negative news. So what's a guy to do when the world sucks, but you've saved up enough money for some important PC upgrades? Why an unboxing, of course, of not one, but two GPUs. Welcome to the middle of nowhere. While the video opener is a bit overdramatic and a little bit cheeky as well, I really have been feeling disheartened at the state of the tech world and disappointed by quite a few companies in it. For today's video, I was going to do a straight unboxing of this MSI RTX 5090 Vanguard SoC, a mouthful, which will be a key component in my personal upgrade. But I also got lucky and was able to complete a purchase of this PowerColor Radeon RX 9070 XT Red Devil, also a mouthful, before it vanished into the ether. It was also delivered much earlier than expected, so I figured I'd unbox it as well. I intend to use the 9070 XT as a showcase for PC builds I make on the channel. I'm glad I purchased both GPUs when I did, as prices have yet to approach anything close to MSRP, and in some SKUs are still on the rise. While availability has improved for some GPU models, it's still terrible for others. Even so, bots and scalpers are still a problem, so being able to complete a purchase even after adding it to cart remains a crapshoot. Enough of the negativity though, let's go over these two GPUs, talk about what you get in the box, their specs, and my advice on which GPU you should save up for. Unboxing both GPUs is a rather simple affair, especially considering I couldn't buy launch day or limited edition versions for either model, both of which I'll talk about later. Inside the Red Devil box, you'll get the GPU, which is in an anti-static bag, some documentation, a Red Devil logo case badge, a 3-pin 5V ARGB cable, and a GPU support device, which is all metal, premium feeling, and should do the trick nicely in supporting your GPU. With the MSI RTX 5090 Vanguard SoC, you also get the GPU in an anti-static bag, a quick start guide, a 12V 2x6 to 8-pin by 4 adapter, and an anti-sag device. It's made mostly of plastic and feels rather cheap compared to the PowerColor GPU support device. And considering the cost of the Vanguard, you'd think MSI would have made a higher quality device. Even though it's janky feeling, hopefully it will still do the job supporting the GPU. Looks-wise, the Red Devil has a 3-fan design and uses 3 standard 8-pin PCIe power connectors instead of the much maligned and justly so 12V 2x6 power connector. You can control the RGB on the GPU via PowerColor's Keystone software, or you can plug the included 3-pin 5V ARGB cable into the GPU and then connect that to your motherboard using its software to control the lighting. The GPU is mostly black with some red on the fan stickers, and then the backplate is metal, which should help with the heat dissipation. There are lighting zones on both sides of the GPU, the Red Devil logo on the backplate, and the Hellstone at the end. Rumor has it this standout design element originates from the bowels of hell and was procured by only the most skilled of diabolic arcane engineers employed by PowerColor. It's been inserted into the Red Devil GPU using both ancient rituals and the blood of sacrificed virgin tech nerds. Don't worry though, there's plenty of them left for future Red Devil GPUs, and they can be mostly found roaming the aisles of all the microcenters around the country. Okay, so none of that's true, and while this bit of marketing is super cheesy, I do like the Hellstone design element on the end. Aside from looks, the Red Devil has a massive heat sink with 7 heat pipes and direct contact copper plate. PowerColor is also using a Honeywell PTM 7950 phase change sheet instead of thermal paste to help with heat transfer. Finally, this GPU comes with a dual BIOS. The OC BIOS increases the fan RPMs to help keep temperatures low, while the silent one has a slower fan curve to help keep noise down. Based on the information provided, it does seem like each BIOS affects GPU clock speeds as well, but I'm unsure if power limits are also affected, so this will be something I'll have to test out later. On the flip side, the MSI RTX 5090 Vanguard SoC is a mix of silver and black with ARGB elements on the side and the front. The cooling shroud is plastic and metal with some faux carbon fiber accents to boot. The backplate, which is all metal, should help with heat dissipation just like on the Red Devil. It has a dragon painted on it, and while large, it's not as gaudy as the iridescent dragon on the MSI's Gaming-X Trio GPU, which I don't like at all. Based on the images I've seen of the Vanguard, I wasn't sure if I'd like its looks, as I felt the design language was a bit all over the place. However, after unboxing it and getting to see it up close, I've come to like it. As with the Red Devil, the Vanguard cooler also has a flow-through design and 3 fans to blast air into it. But unlike the Radeon GPU, the Vanguard uses a vapor chamber to help transfer heat to its 10 heat pipes. It too also has a dual BIOS switch, which is set to silent by default. As with the Red Devil, I'll have to test and see if it's simply a fan profile switch or if each BIOS also has its own set of clock speeds and power limits. One last thing I want to mention is the difference on how each GPU mounts and secures the I/O bracket. The Vanguard I/O is connected to the cooler, providing much more stability and rigidity, which should help with sagging issues, especially considering how huge and heavy the 5090 is. However, the Red Devil's I/O plate is free-floating, only attached to the ports. This makes it less sturdy, and without much effort, I can move it with a finger. Until I can get the Red Devil into a build, however, I don't know how much this design choice will affect GPU sag. But if you're curious about the topic and a possible fix, 𝐂𝐳2Cents has a video on it from 2021, and I've put the link to it in the description. For as expensive as the Red Devil is and how premium it's supposed to be, I'm a bit disappointed by Power Color's design choice here. What do you think of the bracket implementation? If you own a Red Devil RX 9070 XT, have you had any issues with sag? As I previously mentioned, both GPUs have special launch day or limited edition versions. While the GPUs remain the same, extra goodies came in the box, such as a Lucky the Dragon figurine for the Vanguard, and for the Red Devil, a sweet metal keycap that's a replica of the GPU complete with spinning fans. While I don't necessarily like collectors or limited editions for tech products, as it's just another reason to create scarcity and price gouging, they do bring an element of fun to the purchase, if you can get your hands on one, and if the price isn't significantly higher than the regular version, of course. Also, I'd be lying if I said I didn't want that keycap, so there's that. With regards to specifications, there are only a few you can directly compare between the two GPUs since the architectures are so vastly different. Both GPUs are PCIe 5.0 by 16 capable, and in this graphic you can see that both use the TSMC 4nm process. Both are also power hungry, with it being recommended users get a 900 watt power supply for the 9070 XT and 1000 watts for the RTX 5090. You could probably get away with using an 850 watt PSU with the 9070 XT provided the rest of your system isn't too power hungry, but I wouldn't risk it and would actually recommend you get a very efficient 1000 watt PSU anyway, as you can carry it over to a future build. Size-wise, both GPUs are massive. The RTX 5090 takes up 3.75 PCIe slots, while the 9070 Red Devil is a 3-slot GPU. The Vanguard measures 357 by 151 by 76 millimeters, while the Red Devil has two measurements, one with and one without a bracket. 340 by 132 by 69 millimeters, or 352 by 149 by 69 millimeters. I've also included various prices for the GPUs in the graphic, including base MSRP and the specific model MSRP, which is essentially the board partner increased cost. Normally these are anywhere from 50 to 100 bucks higher, but we're in anything but normal times. Instead, the premium models like the Red Devil and Vanguard SoC are anywhere from $200 to $400 more. Then of course there's the current price, which calculates all the supply and demand and tariff increases. These are US prices, so they may vary depending on your location. I'd love to hear how much these GPUs and other models are or cost where you live. Finally, I wanted to show what I paid so you can see where that falls into all the other price points. This is the root cause of my displeasure with tech right now. Components are hard to come by, they're expensive, and prices don't seem to be coming down anytime soon, nor stock more plentiful. As for CUDA cores, compute units, ROPs, and all the other technical specs, I'll leave the graphic rolling for a few more moments so you can take a look. To be sure, these GPUs are special in each of their own ways. But which one should you consider for your next PC? Unless you're a content creator, into AI, do 3D rendering, or perform any other GPU-heavy tasks, you don't really need an RTX 5090. If you're committed to NVIDIA and are primarily a gamer or stream a bit and make videos, an RTX 5080 or even 5070 Ti provides much better value for the performance compared to the 5090. and the 16 gigabytes of VRAM should be enough to run any AAA game. Be aware too, there are rumors of a 5080 Super with 24 gigabytes of VRAM. While it will no doubt be expensive, it should still cost less than a 5090. If you want a GPU that's both performant and priced competitively, at least in theory, then I'd argue the Radeon RX 9070 XT is the better value, as do many reviewers, especially when comparing the 9070 XT to its NVIDIA counterpart, the RTX 5070 Ti. Additionally, AMD's drivers have been on point this go-around, which is something I cannot say the same for NVIDIA, who has been mired in a cesspool of black screens, burnt connectors, and other issues. Why then did I buy the RTX 5090? Is it because I'm an elite baller with deep pockets and shit for brains? Well, maybe the latter, but not so much the former. Otherwise, I'd be filming in a kitted out studio space instead of my dining room. No, I bought the 5090 because just like the 3090 it's replacing, this GPU is powerful enough to help me make these videos without issue. It will also last me, providing nothing melts, for many, many years. I tend to skip a generation as I did with the 4000 series, but if NVIDIA's next generation of GPU blows the 5000 series out of the water and also manages to fix all the issues that have cropped up like crabgrass in July, then I might upgrade sooner rather than later. As for why I went with MSI over another brand, MSI's 5000 series GPUs have been comparatively price competitive to other GPU makers, and I wanted to experience a different brand than what I currently have, which is Asus. Also, because I'm using an MSI motherboard this time around, I figured I'd get an MSI GPU to match it. Get subscribed so you don't miss my upcoming video for that component. It'll be a deep dive overview like I've done in the past with other motherboards. Bottom line, if you're looking to buy a new GPU this year, my advice is this: be patient, keep up with price trends, and if you're able, have the store page open to the product you want and refresh it throughout the day. There's no real way to predict when fresh inventory is available or when prices will drop, so it's anyone's guess. Coming back full circle, all these negative things are why I've been down and out about tech in 2025. When it comes to parts, I'm nearly all self-funded, although I've had some products sent to me, of which I'm very grateful. Shout out to InWin and Patriot. However, it's hard to keep buying things for review when prices keep rising or are just so chaotic I don't know what they're going to be, from hour to hour, day to day, whatever. Especially if I can't recoup the money by selling complete PC builds locally later on, mostly at a loss or at a cost. I've enjoyed building this channel over the years and I'm not going anywhere, but I might have to rethink my direction, at least for a little while. I have plenty of ideas, including more educational content that's not so product driven, so yeah, I'm not going anywhere. That's going to do it for me. This video has been a little bit all over the place, but hey, what can I say? I'm human, or possibly Dancer. I haven't decided yet. Let me know in the comments how you're feeling about the current state of tech, and not just PC related stuff, but things like TVs, headphones, consoles, really anything. What concerns do you have? Have you found any ways to find inexpensive gizmos? What's been pissing you off lately? Or on the positive side, what's been making you happy in the world of tech? Were you intending to upgrade your PC this year or build a completely new one? Perhaps for the first time? If so, what parts were you or are you excited about, and what have you been spending your time researching? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hit that like button if you liked the video or found it helpful. Show your support for the channel by getting subscribed. Click that notification icon so you don't miss out on any future content. And hey, while you're here, stick around for a little while and watch some of the other videos I've made. I'm Seth, and I'll see you next time in the middle of nowhere.